Hi, welcome to my channel. I am Rosalind Jukic and I am a second generation homeschool mom living in Croatia. I invite you to join me today. Be sure to like this video and be sure to follow my channel. Hi, welcome back to my channel. I am Rosalind Jukic and here on my channel I talk a lot about homeschooling and family and what we do as a family and all of those things surrounding that. And today I just want to share with you how we celebrate Easter. Now, I had planned for this video for a while, a couple weeks ago, and just with the craziness in our life, it just did not happen. So I am sharing it today. Now, my original idea was to share with you a free reading plan that I have made, but it does need to be edited and shortened down a bit, and I just have not gotten to that. So that will probably happen next Easter, not happening this year. Actually, as my children and I go through our Easter readings this year, that's when the editing is going to happen. I'm going to be taking notes, and I'll have that out next year. So, but I just want to give you a brief overview of what we do for Easter in our home. Now, I know that there are those who really just fall everywhere on the spectrum of celebrating these faith-filled holidays, mainly Easter and Christmas. And so you have those on one end that say, those were originally pagan holidays, that we should have nothing to do with those holidays. And then we have those who, they celebrate Jesus, but then they bring in the Santa Claus and they bring in the Easter Bunny and the Easter eggs and all of that. And then you have, people that fall sort of somewhere in between. And so I just want to talk about, where do we fit on that and what is our convictions about that? Because I do believe that every Christian needs to have a conviction about that. What do you feel about celebrating these holidays? But I also believe that we really should grace one another because as a body of Christ, we need to understand that, first of all, there is no Bible verse that says don't celebrate Christmas or don't celebrate Easter. But there are verses that say that we shouldn't worship God the way that the pagans worship him. And then, we have also God commanding his people to celebrate those events when he performed miraculous deeds. And so, how do we bring this all together? And I have my own personal conviction about this. So first of all, we do celebrate Christmas and Easter in our home. Now, I do find it a little bit interesting that the two holidays in which we celebrate Jesus Christ, so his birth, God humbling himself to become man, and then God resurrecting himself from the dead, two things that no human can do. So there's no human that can be born completely perfect, and there's no human that can resurrect themselves from the dead. Those are two events that only God could have performed. They land on a formerly pagan holiday and are the center of a lot of controversy in the church. And I don't think that that's by accident. I do believe that the enemy wants to get us caught up in that. And he wants to distract us from celebrating God. He wants to distract us from making Jesus Christ the center of this holiday. And so I choose to just put all of that aside and say, I'm celebrating Jesus. I can celebrate him every day of the year. This happens to be a day when the majority of the church does that. And so I am joining with the majority of the church around the world and celebrating Jesus on this day. And there's no evil day on the calendar. Every day is a day that God created. And so, maybe the enemy wants to steal a day, but he really can't. It's something that God created. So there is no evil day. There may be evil ways that people, choose to celebrate that day, but we don't do that. We choose to celebrate Jesus every day. And so I do celebrate those days, but what I do is I keep them Christ-centered. So for Easter, we don't do the Easter Bunny. We don't, decorate Easter eggs. We make it all about Jesus, but we make it so much fun. My children don't miss out on anything. They have a lot of fun. And I started doing something very special with my children probably 3 or 4 years ago. My children really struggled with language. They struggled with understanding language. And so I was forever trying to find visual ways to make language understandable to them. And so when it got to Easter, I realized that they were having trouble connecting Easter and Christmas together as a cohesive story. And so what I did one year was I took our miniature Christmas tree, which you will see here behind me, and I took some chenille wire, and I pulled up the branches and made the branches into the shape of a cross. And then we decorated it with lights. And then all throughout that month, we read a passage out of the New Testament that had to do with Jesus' final days on earth, and made little decorations to go with it and decorated our tree with those decorations. My children had so much fun. On Good Friday, we took a shoebox and we decorated it up to look like a tomb, and they made a Jesus out of clay and put it in the tomb, ran outside and found a big rock and put it in front of the tomb, and it stayed there all weekend long. And then on Sunday morning they got up and found that the rock was moved and Jesus was no longer in the tomb, and that made the whole thing so alive to them. I actually wrote a blog about this, and I'll put it in the description box below. Again, the free reading plan in that blog post does need some editing. There are a couple of errors in it, and it is rather long. I am going to be shortening that up. But it is what I used with my kids to really connect that Easter story with, with the Christmas story, so that they can make that connection. I've always said I find it really interesting that we take the whole month of December, and some people half the month of November, to celebrate Christmas, but we don't take nearly as long to celebrate Easter. And without Easter, Christmas doesn't really have the full power. It is powerful that God chose to limit his sovereignty, come in the form of a man, and he was fully God and fully man here on earth, but he limited himself and chose to be born in those humble conditions that he was born in. That is powerful. And there is no human on earth that could ever be born to a virgin, that could be born 100% perfect. That could not be done. God did something that no human could ever do. But without Easter, we still don't have salvation. It wasn't Jesus' birth that purchased us salvation. It was his death and resurrection that purchased our salvation. And so this year, unfortunately, we weren't able to celebrate Easter quite as long as we usually do, because I do try to take an entire month to celebrate Easter with my children. But we weren't home some of that time, and so it's just not happening this year like it usually does. But I do try to take an entire month to really make it all about Easter and talking about Jesus' resurrection, talking about those final days of Jesus' time on earth, and even going back and talking about the life of Jesus while he was here on earth, and all of the good things that he did, and the messages that he brought us, the miracles that he did, and the core message of Jesus' life, that we need to come to the Father, that there is no other way to heaven except through him. And so this is how we celebrate Easter in our home. I do give them the Easter treats on Easter morning, but I make our Easter baskets because, to be really honest, we don't need any more stuff in our house. So I don't buy Easter baskets. I make them out of paper plates, and I'll put a picture here that you'll be able to see. Again, I decorate them for them. I make them very, very special and put some goodies in them. But then we always, Saturday evening, make what we call resurrection rolls, and that's our Easter breakfast. And again, each part of that, and there'll be a link in the description box below where you can find the recipe for that. But every part of making that, again, just really tells a story about Jesus' life and his burial and his resurrection. And so we do just center that whole entire holiday really around him. And so I hope that you enjoyed this video. How do you celebrate Easter? So how do you bring the story of Jesus into your home for the Easter holiday? How do you do that in your home? I'd love to know. Leave that in the description, or leave that in the comment section below. And if you like this video, just be sure to give it that thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.